All right, strap yourselves in because today we're diving headfirst into crime scenes.
Ooh, sounds exciting.
We've got these lecture notes, right, from a forensic expert.
Yeah.
And it's like seriously in-depth stuff.
Yeah.
So we're going to uncover like all the secrets hidden behind that yellow tape.
I love it.
Like imagine you're actually at a crime scene.
Okay.
What would you be looking for?
I mean, crime scenes are kind of like puzzles, right?
Yeah.
Except instead of like cardboard pieces, you're dealing with real-world clues.
Oh,
And
totally.
the scene itself is like the biggest clue.
Right, so it's not just about like finding the body.
No.
It's about the whole context, right?
Absolutely.
Like what if you found the body in a park
Right.
versus like someone's apartment?
Huge difference.
Totally different story, right?
And even then, the location of the death, that might not even be where the crime happened.
What?
What if the body was moved?
Oh, wow.
What if the car they were found in, that was just the transportation, not the actual crime scene?
Okay, so many layers.
Yeah, there's a lot to unravel.
So someone could like die in one place
Right.
and end up somewhere completely different.
Exactly.
That's mind-blowing.
It is.
But hold on.
Yeah.
Isn't there a difference between like a death scene and a crime scene?
You're right. There's a huge difference.
Um,
A death scene, that's just where someone died.
Right.
Could be natural causes, an accident, anything really.
Makes sense?
But a crime scene,
Yeah.
that means something illegal happened.
Oh.
Something that directly harmed someone, whether they died or not.
So every murder scene is a death scene,
Right.
but not every death scene is a murder scene.
Exactly.
Okay, I think I'm getting it.
Good.
But are all crime scenes like the same?
Ah, good question.
Like in my mind, I'm picturing like
Yeah.
super messy, chaotic.
Not all crime scenes are created equal.
Okay.
You've got your organized scenes
Okay.
where the perpetrator is meticulous, controlling the scene, trying to cover their tracks. Think professional hitman, maybe.
Ooh, cloak and dagger. I like it.
Right.
So what's the opposite of that?
Total opposite. Disorganized scene.
Okay.
It's chaotic, unplanned, lots of evidence potentially left behind.
Oh, okay.
Think a crime of passion, someone acting without thinking.
Oh, so maybe they didn't have time to clean up?
Right.
Or they were like just totally freaking out.
Exactly.
Okay, that makes sense.
Yeah.
What about like those in-between scenes?
Yeah.
Like maybe they planned it, but then things got crazy.
Right. Those are your mixed scenes.
Okay.
They've got aspects of both.
Gotcha.
And then you've got your atypical scenes.
Okay.
Those are the real head scratchers.
Oh, no.
Think a body, decomposed outdoors, exposed to the elements.
Yeah, that's tough.
Tough to decipher.
So, okay, now I'm picturing this scene. Let's say it's, you know, that messy, disorganized kind of,
Right.
and like a whole team shows up.
Yeah.
Like in the movies,
Yeah.
you've got the detectives,
Yeah.
forensic people, everyone's got their own like special day. Right?
Spot on. It's a team effort.
Okay, so who's there?
First, you've got your scene of crime officer, the socio.
Okay, the socio.
They're documenting everything. Fingerprints, evidence, the whole 9 yards.
Wow.
Then there's the magistrate or the inquiry into sudden death officer.
Oh, right.
They handle the legal side of things.
Okay.
And of course, you can't forget the doctor,
Oh,
the judicial medical officer, or JMO. They're examining the body right there at the scene.
wow, so that's a lot of people.
Yeah,
I bet they've all got to like work together perfectly.
absolutely. Teamwork is essential. You've also got your forensic scientists.
Okay.
They specialize in everything from bullets to bugs, literally.
Oh, wow.
And they analyze all that evidence, like, in detail.
Okay, so they're the specialists.
Yeah, and pulling it all together are your police investigators.
Right.
Interviewing witnesses,
Mhm.
following leads, the whole detective thing.
Okay, you mentioned the JMO, the doctor.
Yeah.
What are they actually like doing at the scene? Isn't their main job like the autopsy?
The JMO, they're critical
Okay.
because they examine the body at the scene before the autopsy.
Oh, wow.
They're looking at injuries, position, the surroundings,
Right.
collecting trace evidence. That initial examination in context, that's crucial.
Hold up. Before the autopsy. Why is that so important?
Yeah.
Wouldn't they get a like clearer picture at the morgue?
You got to think about it. Moving a body, that can change things.
Oh, okay.
A tiny fiber might fall off, a bruise could become less noticeable.
Right, right.
And then things that happen after death, like during transport,
Yeah.
can create what we call transportation artifacts.
Transpiration artifacts.
Yeah, basically changes to the body that can confuse the investigation.
So if the JMO sees the body at the scene,
Yeah,
they can tell what's a real clue versus something that happened after.
precisely.
Oh, okay.
The scene visit helps them interpret what they'll see later at the autopsy. They
Yeah.
need that full context.
That's fascinating. Speaking of clues, what about those tiny pieces of evidence
Oh, okay.
I always hear about on like those true crime shows.
Oh, yeah.
The hair, the fibers, all that stuff.
Right.
What's the, like, technical term for all that?
Ah, you're talking about trace evidence.
Trace evidence.
It's amazing how much those tiny bits of material can reveal.
Yeah, because it's, like, so small.
I know. Think hair, fibers, paint chips, even debris from a fire.
So, like, a single hair could actually, like, solve a case.
It's not always that dramatic,
Yeah.
but it can happen.
Wow.
The key principle here is Locard's exchange principle.
Locard's exchange principle.
Basically, it says every contact leaves a trace.
Oh, okay. I think I've heard of that.
Yeah.
But how does that actually, like, work at a crime scene?
Okay, let's say the perpetrator brushes against a curtain.
Right.
They could leave a fiber behind or pick one up.
Right.
That fiber could link them to the scene.
Oh, wow.
Same goes for footprints, fingerprints, anything transferred during the crime.
So basically, it's impossible to commit a crime without leaving some trace behind.
Right.
That's both terrifying and kind of awesome.
It is. Every interaction, it leaves a mark. It's just a matter of finding it.
Okay, but how do investigators even find these, like, microscopic clues? It seems like looking for a needle in a haystack.
It takes a keen eye.
Right.
And specialized techniques.
Okay.
Sometimes it's as simple as hand-picking the evidence.
Oh, yeah.
But often it involves taping, brushing, swabbing, even vacuuming the area.
Wait, vacuuming? Really?
Yeah.
I never thought of that. Wouldn't that, like, just suck up everything?
Not with the special vacuums they use.
Oh, okay.
They've got filters that, like, trap those tiny particles.
Oh, cool.
And speaking of not losing things,
Yeah.
documenting, packaging, and keeping track of who's handled the evidence,
Right.
that's super important. We
Right.
call that the chain of custody.
Right, because if they mess that up,
Oh, yeah.
the whole case could, like, fall apart. It's like one big, super delicate puzzle.
You got it.
Wow.
And sometimes they get high tech with things like alternate light sources.
Alternate light source.
Yeah, think UV or infrared light
Okay.
to find evidence we can't see with the naked eye.
That's insane.
Super helpful in, like, sexual assault cases.
Wow, that's incredible.
It is.
Like shining a light on the invisible,
Right.
bringing those, like, hidden clues to life.
Exactly.
Okay, so we've talked about the importance of seeing the scene, the different types of scenes,
Right.
the team of investigators, the JMO's role, and this whole amazing world of trace evidence.
It's a lot.
Yeah, it's clear that, like, crime scene investigation is this super meticulous process. But before we, like, move on,
Okay.
I have to ask,
Yeah.
what happens next? I mean, we've collected all this evidence,
Right.
but how do we make sense of it all?
Good question.
A bag of fibers
Yeah.
or a fingerprint, that doesn't solve a case on its own, right?
Yeah. You're exactly right. That's where the real detective work begins.
Okay.
It's about analyzing and interpreting the evidence,
Right.
connecting those tiny clues to the bigger picture.
And that's what we'll be diving into next.
That's right.
Ready to put on your Sherlock Holmes hat?
Absolutely. Let's do it.
All right. All right, so we've gathered all this evidence, fingerprints, hairs, fibers, like the whole shebang.
The whole kit and caboodle.
But what happens next? How do they actually turn those clues into, answers?
That's where the real magic of forensic science comes in.
Okay.
It's not just about collecting the evidence, it's about understanding what it means.
Right.
It's like, having all these puzzle pieces, but no picture on the box. You have to figure out how they fit together.
Ooh, I like that analogy.
Right.
Okay, so let's say we have a hair from our crime scene. What can they actually tell from that?
Well, first they're going to examine it under a microscope. Look at the color, the shape, the texture. They can tell if it's been dyed, chemically treated, even if it was, like, ripped out, like, during a struggle.
No way. So
Yeah.
it's like the hair is telling its own little story.
Exactly.
That's so cool.
And then you have things like blood samples.
Okay.
DNA analysis can tell you exactly who that blood belonged to,
Right.
which can be huge in, like, linking a suspect to the scene or even proving someone wasn't there.
It's like DNA is the ultimate truth serum.
Pretty much. No way to lie your way out of that one.
That's so true.
But even something as simple as a fingerprint, that can be incredibly revealing.
And fingerprints. Yeah.
Those unique patterns, the ridges, the whorls, they can pinpoint a person with amazing accuracy.
Yeah, and they can even find, like, those invisible fingerprints, right?
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
And ones left on surfaces.
Exactly. It's more chemistry than magic, but I get the fascination.
I've always wondered about that. It seems like magic.
Yeah, it's pretty cool. And fingerprints don't just tell us who was there. They can tell us what they did.
What do you mean?
Like
which way a door was opened or how an object was held.
Oh, wow.
It's pretty amazing what you can learn from those tiny little prints.
So every little piece of evidence has its own story to tell.
Precisely. And let's not forget about ballistics,
Ballistics.
the science of guns and bullets.
Right.
If a
Okay.
bullet was fired at the scene, they can analyze the markings to figure out what kind of gun it came from, maybe even link it to a specific weapon.
Okay, that's definitely getting into like CSI territory.
Right.
But it's all real, right? This isn't just like TV stuff.
Those shows take some liberties, but the science is legit.
Okay, good.
Another technique that blows my mind is blood stain pattern analysis.
Blood stain pattern analysis.
Experts can actually reconstruct events just by looking at the size, shape, and distribution of blood stains.
So wait, they can tell if the blood came from like a gunshot versus a stabbing?
Absolutely. They can even tell the angle of impact, the direction the blood was moving, how much force was used.
Oh.
It's like creating a map of the violence, but with blood. Okay, that's pretty intense.
It is, it is. But it's amazing how all these different disciplines, they work together to create this complete picture of what happened.
Yeah, it sounds like a massive team effort with everyone depending on each other.
Exactly, but it's not always straightforward.
Right.
Sometimes the evidence is contradictory, witnesses aren't reliable, or the trail just goes cold.
Yeah, I bet that's frustrating.
Oh, it can be. It takes real persistence and a sharp mind to navigate those challenges.
I bet. It's not like in the movies where they always solve the case in an hour.
No, no. Real-life investigations can take weeks, months, even years. And sometimes, even with the best forensic science, the answers just aren't there.
Okay, that makes sense, but it's kind of disheartening.
It can be, but it's important to remember that forensic science is just one tool.
Yeah,
It can't solve every crime.
right.
It provides the pieces of the puzzle, but it's ultimately up to the legal system to determine guilt or innocence.
Okay.
Forensic scientists, they're not judge and jury. They're more like evidence whisperers.
Ooh, I like that.
Right.
That's a great way to put it.
Yeah. So it's not just about fancy technology and lab results. There's a human element, too.
Definitely.
Absolutely. Forensic science is about people.
Okay.
The victims, the suspects, the investigators, and the scientists themselves. There's a lot of passion and dedication that goes into this work.
You know, after hearing all this, I can see why people are so fascinated by crime scene investigation.
Yeah.
It's like this perfect blend of science and human drama.
It is.
But what are some of the challenges that forensic scientists face in their work? It can't all be high-tech gadgets and eureka moments, right?
You're right. There are definitely challenges.
Okay.
One of the biggest is contamination.
Contamination.
Even the tiniest bit of foreign material can ruin evidence and throw off an entire investigation.
Oh, wow.
That's why those meticulous collection procedures are so important.
I can imagine. It must be like walking a tightrope at a crime scene.
Yeah, one wrong step and everything's compromised.
Right.
And then there's the issue of time.
The time.
Evidence can degrade, witnesses' memories fade, and leads go cold.
Oh, that's the worst.
It's a race against time to gather and analyze everything before it's too late.
Yeah, talk about pressure. And I imagine there's also, like, the emotional toll of dealing with these, often gruesome
You
cases.
hit the nail on the head.
Just got a cuff.
Forensic scientists are human beings, and it's impossible to be completely detached from the human impact of these crimes.
Right.
They see disturbing things, hear heartbreaking stories, and it can definitely take a toll.
Yeah.
It takes a special kind of person to handle that pressure and remain objective.
So it sounds like a job that requires not just, like, scientific expertise, but also incredible resilience and compassion.
Absolutely.
It's more than just a job, it's a calling.
Well said. It's a demanding field, but also incredibly rewarding.
Okay.
Knowing that your work can help bring justice to victims and their families, that's a powerful motivator.
Yeah, that must be an amazing feeling.
It is. And it's not just about solving crimes.
Oh, right. Forensic science also plays a vital role in identifying missing persons, exonerating the wrongly convicted, and even helping to prevent future crimes
How did they do that?
by understanding patterns and motives.
Oh, okay. Wow, I never realized how far-reaching it was.
It really does touch so many aspects of our lives.
It really does.
Now, are you ready to delve into some real-life cases that show just how powerful and complex crime scene investigation can be?
I am so ready. Bring on the true crime stories. Okay, hit me with those real-life crime stories, like
Yeah.
the ones that just prove how powerful this forensic science stuff really is.
All right, get ready for this. Let's start with a case that basically, made forensic science famous. The O.J. Simpson trial.
Oh, wow, yeah. That one's, legendary. I remember hearing about it, but I was pretty pretty young back then.
It was a total game changer.
Right.
So the prosecution, right, they had DNA evidence that put Simpson at the crime scene.
Right.
But then the defense, they argued that the evidence was, like, mishandled, contaminated.
And that's exactly what we were talking about before.
Yeah.
Like those procedures,
Right.
they have to be perfect.
Yes.
Otherwise, the evidence is worthless.
So even with, like, strong evidence like DNA, things can go wrong if it's not handled right.
One tiny mistake can make or break a case. It's a huge responsibility.
Wow, yeah.
Okay, now let's look at a case where trace evidence was the key.
All right.
The Atlanta child murders. Remember that one?
Vaguely, yeah. It sounds familiar, but refresh my memory.
Okay, so back in the late 70s, early 80s,
Okay.
over 20 African-American children and young adults were murdered in Atlanta.
Oh, right.
And the case, it went cold for years.
Oh, wow.
Until they found fibers on the victim's clothing.
Wait, so like tiny little fibers helped catch a serial killer?
Exactly. That's insane. The fibers matched a specific type of carpet,
Oh, wow.
which led investigators to Wayne Williams.
Wayne Williams.
And he was convicted based on that fiber evidence
Oh,
and
yeah.
other circumstantial evidence.
So it was like a combination.
Yeah. But it was a huge win for forensic science.
It just shows you can never underestimate the power of like
Yeah.
a tiny clue.
Right.
What else you got?
Okay, how about this? The Body Farm case.
The Body Farm. That sounds like something out of a horror movie.
It's not quite that dramatic,
Okay.
but it is a real place. It's a research facility at the University of Tennessee,
Oh, wow.
and they study human decomposition there.
Okay.
Sounds creepy, but it's like incredibly useful for forensics.
Okay. I'm intrigued, but a little grossed out. What happened in this case?
So they actually used insect evidence to solve a murder
What?
by analyzing the bugs on a decomposed body, what
Yeah.
kind they were, their life cycles.
Right.
They could actually figure out when the person died and even if the body had been moved.
So bugs are like tiny detectives.
They are.
Who knew?
Nature holds so many clues if you know how to look for them.
That's true.
And these are just a few examples. There are countless cases where forensic science has, like, solved crimes, freed innocent people, and brought peace to families.
It's amazing how much good can come from this field,
Yeah.
even though it deals with some pretty dark stuff.
Yeah, it's true.
I have to ask, like, what's next for forensic science? What does the future hold?
That's a great question. Technology's always advancing, right? And forensic science is evolving right along with it.
Okay.
Think about things like advanced DNA analysis, facial reconstruction software, even digital forensics, analyzing evidence from computers and phones.
Oh, wow. That's wild.
Yeah, so as criminals get more tech savvy, the tools to catch them, they're getting more advanced too.
It's like a never-ending game of cat and mouse.
That's a great analogy. It's a constant challenge.
Yeah.
But one that, like, pushes forensic science to innovate and improve.
This has been such a fascinating deep dive.
I agree.
What's the one thing you want our listeners to, like, walk away with today?
I want them to understand that solving a crime, it's rarely a simple aha moment. It's about painstaking work, careful analysis, and a whole team of experts working together.
Yeah.
It's a testament to, like, human ingenuity and our desire to find the truth, no matter how difficult that puzzle may be.
That's a really powerful thought. And for our listener, what's one question they should, like, ponder after this deep dive?
I'd ask them to think about this. In a world where technology is changing everything, how will forensic science adapt?
That's a good one.
What new challenges and opportunities will emerge? It's a field that'll continue to evolve as long as there are mysteries to solve.
That's a great question to leave our listener with. Thanks for taking us on this journey into the world of crime scene investigation.
The pleasure was all mine. Keep asking those questions and stay curious. You know, the truth is out there,